Maybe movies. And rest. And now, it feels like 5 days have gone past.
Yeah, it does. Doesn't it? What?
Some people, hey? You just can't elevate them, can you? Hello, and welcome back to Maybe Movies. My name is Max, and I am trying desperately to add some culture to the heathens.
I don't live on a heath, thank you very much.
And of course, as always, I am joined by Sam Terry.
Hi there.
And our special guest for this month, Chris Smith.
Hello.
After much consultation and deliberation, we have agreed to retroactively award an extra star, as you can see.
Yeah, thank you.
For introducing a new element to the format, which we hadn't really considered before, which was the use of particular songs and music in particular films, which was fantastic.
That was perfect. It was perfect. Yeah.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we leap into Act 2 of Withnail and Loathing in Las Vegas, one very quick shout out for an old friend, for Batcho, and he does film reviews and a lot of Netflix reviews as well. Recently started a new show on his channel called Reviewing Old Trailers, or ROT.
Okay.
And who doesn't want to watch a show called ROT? But if you do like movie reviews, then do check him out. He's very acerbic with his approach, and most of the time is pretty spot on as well. So, hope you're doing alright, buddy. And do go and check out his channel. Link will be in the description below, as always. That's done. Shall we crack on with Act 2?
Act 2. That sounds like the present.
Exactly.
Withnail and I.
Nope.
No, Withnail and Loathing in Las Vegas.
So it's the night out through till the scene with Nick Nolte, basically. That's
Basically,
kind of Act 2.
So we've got their initial trip down the strip. Do you think they would be bothered about Debbie Reynolds?
Yeah.
Yeah?
And I can just imagine, so you can stand on the back and you don't have to make any noise. You hear the doors close.
Yeah.
And you hear Debbie on the inside, and then you just hear from the back of the room, "Get off the stage, you old fucker! I'm waiting to take your place!" Or something like that.
It's fantastic. I would like to argue that the ether section would indeed happen. I'm remembering somebody drinking lighter fluid and asking for antifreeze at the beginning of a certain movie.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure they would be up for a bit of ether. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As a callback to the original movie, Withnail does need to throw up.
Mm-hmm.
I know Gonzo almost throws up a number of times, but he never quite does it, whereas I think Withnail would just like and be all over the bar or something like that.
Definitely. So, I must admit, I didn't really look too much at the night out scene. I had some ideas for everything that kind of happens after that. So, we'll deal with the night out first, then I'll come to that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
So this is literally like they've done their day's work, they've got their pay, so they're going to go and spunk it. They know that the motel room is paid for, because the company, I'm assuming, who've put them up for doing the job. So would you say that he's going to throw up whilst they're sitting on the carousel?
I was thinking so. I think they would get thrown out rather than try to leave on their own.
Yeah.
I think he'd throw up all over the bar and they'd get thrown out.
That makes sense. Although we don't get the line about fucking the polar bear.
No. No. What were you fucking at for? What did you say?
The stuff that happens after that is going to be different. For a start, I think there's potential here that we would lose the scene in the elevator because they're not staying at the Mint.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Although conceivably that story could happen in any elevator.
Yeah, it could. Well, no, because obviously Lacerta's there. She's there because they're all guests that have been covering the race.
My thought is that it just won't go that way because Withnail is not Gonzo.
No.
I imagine he might try hitting on her and giving it the whole "I'm going to be a star" treatment.
Okay.
But it won't go so far as to pulling a knife or any of the extreme lengths that Gonzo goes to in his little fantasy head. So even if the elevator scene did happen, it wouldn't play out the same way, would it?
No. And we don't really ever see anything, certainly in Withnail and Loathing, there's nothing that really suggests that either of these characters are particularly lascivious.
Uh-huh.
So I thought it might go a slightly different way in that they go back to the Mint Hotel at the end of the night to find out what they're supposed to be doing the next day. At which point they find out that was it, that was the job. Just the one day. The race is over.
Right.
They've got the room till the morning, but then they've got to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that might be a nice way of then informing that night of complete craziness that...
I bet because they've got to leave in the morning anyway.
Yeah. Things like the scene in the bath and things like that, you could replace just Gonzo's insanity with kind of wounded pride.
Oh, to a certain degree, yeah. Yeah.
On the side of Withnail.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then things like, because we'd lose that lovely section from
The San Francisco
acid wave and all of that kind of stuff. But what I thought instead of that, we could put in kind of a parallel from like the opening scene with the greasy spoon.
Mm-hmm.
Marwood just goes out and sees some of the what's happening behind the glitz and the glamour because they're off the strip. I can imagine their motel is off the strip.
Yeah.
So you see some of the life of Vegas away from the lights.
Behind the lights, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of...
the scene.
Yeah, same
like
kind of...
Yarmouth when you get off the seafront.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets grim really quickly.
It does. But yeah, so that would serve to replace those moments in the film.
I'm not sure that that's the way to go with that, because it's not just the San Francisco acid wave, it's about the heyday of the decade.
Mm.
And surely Withnail and Marwood have an equivalent. I'm looking back a moment, like, you know, they're trained actors, maybe when they were graduating uni or something in the mid-60s or something like that.
I only came to that conclusion because I was trying to find a way of making, with that in mind, what would be their equivalent to Hunter's experiences living through that period in America, because they didn't. So they cannot make any kind of social commentary on America because they were in England. We've assumed that they've arrived recently for this.
But the purpose of that scene is also nostalgia, and that doesn't have to be American nostalgia.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was being too literal with it because it's so focused on the American experience and the American idea.
The original film
is,
but the film we're constructing is about the American experience through the eyes of a cultural alien.
In the same way that we've done it with Hunter and that in England.
Yeah. I was just thinking that they would think back to their own, that perfect moment when anything could happen in your life and everything was good and groovy, even if things weren't perfect. There was always hope and...
Okay. So possibly that could be the moment just before they came out here.
No, because that's not nostalgia. I'm talking about going back to the mid-60s. Maybe going back to when Marwood and Withnail met. Maybe, like, if they met at a party, this amazingly groovy party or something like that, and that's how they hit it off or something.
They were studying at drama school together. So that'd be the drama school days, which I think you said earlier.
That's literally what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just go to grammar school, you go to parties
Oh,
after
yeah,
drama
yeah,
school.
yeah.
Those are the parties I'm talking about. But back when, you know, it was all, we can do anything, we can try anything, nobody will tell us no. It's a bit like that acid wave of the 70s where nobody was telling them to stop, nobody was telling them where their limits were.
Yeah. So something like, again, so some reminiscence of that, and and again, equating it to where they are in Vegas, and it's like that, but here the lights are bright.
And now look at us now.
Something
Here
like
we
that.
are
Yeah.
in this you know, this hidden apocalypse.
But here the lights are too bright that you can see yourself too clearly.
The lights are too bright, you can't see yourself clearly.
Because it's the aftermath, it's like that, you're looking at yourself in the mirror.
It's about losing your sense of yourself.
Yeah.
The lights are too bright, you can't see yourself clearly anymore.
I was looking at it from a slightly different way in terms of in his memory, the lights were bright and they remember it. But here they're too bright that everything just comes into focus and you can see yourself for what you really are.
Oh, right. See, I literally saw this the other way around.
What do you think?
Their sense of hope was a light in their life, but it wasn't a literal light. They could still see themselves growing forward into the future, but now the lights are so bright, you can't even see yourself in the mirror anymore. You don't know who you are. You've lost your identity.
No, it's either works, because that's one way. The other way that I'm looking at it is that it's so clear. It's like the makeup's come off because the light is just full on you, and you can see the lines in your face. You know it's 5 years later. You know that happened in the past, and that will always be a memory. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does it?
But you guys are thinking opposite on that.
You're focusing on memory, I'm focusing on nostalgia.
Yeah.
Is the difference? You're thinking of the literal memory
Mm-hmm.
and how it translates to now. Whereas I'm thinking of the sense of nostalgia that comes from looking back to when things seemed so full of hope and possibility.
I get it.
And
what do you think? So
Yeah,
which
yeah.
one? We're
Well,
going to have to throw it open.
We're
to
an
this.
impasse here,
Yeah.
so we actually need to
No,
decide.
I was just absorbing that. It's just, I would say it's heading more on Sam's side, which is the nostalgia of it.
I will have that star back there.
Oh. No, it's just, that's what I was thinking when it all began. But I like your points of it. I thought that was actually, so it's hard. I would say it's halfway through.
There are literally
between-
two different interpretations of that scene.
Yeah.
Which one do you pick?
Yeah.
Well, I'm outvoted, so
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
that's fine. That's fine. I'll
Sorry,
find another way of getting it in there somewhere.
I mean, the same, it's funny because we're arguing about this, but at the same time, we're still essentially getting the same scene. It's just the context of the way it's edited and shot that's going to change.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. With this sequence, then the next thing that eventually Marwood gets to get some sleep. I don't know. I don't know if we might lose White Rabbit. I don't know.
What, the song?
Just that whole sequence in the bar. I mean, I think I kind of again imagine Withnail being a lot more depressed that you thought they're going to come out here, it's going to make their way, it's not, and this kind of thing.
That was one of the scenes I was going to use, basically, was the bathtub scene. That was one I put in Act 2.
let's...
Okay, come on, bring it on.
No, it's just...
because we're there now. We've done that bit, and that's the next scene.
I can always imagine Withnail in the bathtub being depressed. And
In his coat still, of course.
Yeah. He's fully clothed and everything like that, and that's the whole bit with the radio.
Yeah.
He's so depressed, he doesn't give a shit, and he's drunk. So I would say... does it have to be White Rabbit?
No. It was appropriate to, obviously, there, but if you've got an alternative...
The Jimi Hendrix song?
All Along the Watchtower?
No. The other one. Definitely.
Voodoo Child?
That's it.
Ah, yes.
Because that could still be quite an intense song to listen to if he's...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And if the radio is over... It's a radio, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a radio pulling over the bathtub.
No, it's not a radio, it's a tape player.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
so
same
it's
player
a
with
tape
cassette tape, and then...
Yeah.
The song could be quite intense to almost die to.
Mm-hmm. That works. This also adds fuel into Marwood's kind of love-hate relationship with Withnail. You can't cope with him.
Yeah.
But he's
endeared to him.
Yes, they're entwined together, so he has to kind of, no, I'm not going to kill you or whatever. And then he ends up doing the same thing, locking him in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then going to get some sleep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. My thought for when he wakes up the next day and Withnail is gone was that Withnail's got out of the bathroom and he's gone off to go and find them work. He's just stomped off in the middle of the night to try and find them work so they don't have to leave Vegas.
Withnail did it.
Yeah. Because we need to find something to replace the fact that Gonzo is gone and he's gone back to LA.
Mm-hmm.
Withnail doesn't have those resources.
Oh, I see.
He'd be a lot
He's
more
gone,
lost.
but he's not gone from Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But he'd be a lot more alienated. He's going to be like a lost little boy in the big town, basically.
Well, ultimately, kind of, Withnail's story arc is a tragedy. He seems to land on his feet more often than Marwood does.
Wait. Maybe we could work this. Maybe he has gone looking for work, but like in the film, he gets a telegram that's in confusing code that makes Marwood think that Withnail's gone back to LA. The actual truth would be that he has gone looking for work, but when Marwood gets the telegram, because of the way that Withnail's written it, he thinks it means he's gone back to LA.
So that's why he gets in the car and leaves.
Yes.
When in fact what he's done is he's gone and got them a gig working for the police
Working
convention.
on the other side of town.
Yeah. Marwood wakes up, finds he's gone.
Yeah.
Doesn't know where he's gone. He's like, shit.
I've been abandoned, time to leg it.
He knows that they're going to come around and kick him out anyway because they've got to be out of the room.
Yeah.
So just grabs all of his shit, jumps in the car, and then Super kind of grabs him and says, oh yeah, by the way, we got
This is
this.
a telegram. And when he first reads it, he thinks it means he's gone back to LA.
But he never reads it, does he? Because it's in the same way that Thompson doesn't read
Oh,
it.
no,
He just
the
sticks it in his pocket.
manager mutters about the content.
Yeah.
But the whole point is that the gist of the code should seem to point him to LA.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's not till later that, he makes the phone call and it's...
Exactly, yeah, because he's after all the stuff with McNulty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I suppose is the only other scene in this act to look at.
Yes. The Baker cop car incident.
Yes. Again, it's going to be mostly the same. It's going to be a little bit different because I don't see Marwood being as bolshy as, like, Raoul Duke. He's not going to...
Yeah, no, you got me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make the bastard chase you. I mean, ultimately that scene will play out the same way, which again gives us our shadow of Withnail and I, of Monty, as you quite rightly mentioned before.
So maybe instead of make the bastard chase you, maybe it's, oh god, where do I pull over? Where do I pull over?
And it's all incidental, so rather than him doing the deliberate swing around up to the rest area, that's the first place that he spots.
Yeah.
I like it, yes. Yeah, that's good.
That similar interaction.
Yeah.
I must be sorry, yeah.
I don't know what you guys thought. There's always the suggestion there that the cop knows who he is.
Yes, there is a slight hint in the scene.
What do you mean?
When he looks at his ID, he goes, oh, like he recognises the name.
Oh, right, yeah.
Although it could be implied that O is because it's press. I've just pulled over a member of the press.
It could be. In this case, Marwood's nobody.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, yeah.
Good point.
But ultimately, that will play out the same.
It would seem that Marwood eventually does give up the goods. Maybe?
I don't know. What do you think? Obviously, let us know in the comments below if you think.
We are curious. What do you think?
Just as a kind of a final thing, to sort of round off the act, in place of that bit where you've got Thompson out in the desert firing the gun,
yeah,
it's a nice equivalent to the first morning in Crow Crag when he gets up and he goes outside and he looks at all of this sumptuous countryside.
Oh, right, yeah, and he's just in his coat and basically his underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something similar to that where he's just looking out over the desert and just taking stock of it all and just having a quiet moment to himself.
Yeah.
I think that would be more in keeping with his character.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Small town, more mild then.
Yeah.
But
I like that, yeah.
somehow it looks like we got through the second act.
Crazily enough. Are we happy that that's okay? I don't know, I kind of sort of did more of an overview of that whole sequence in the room afterwards.
It's not a very coherent act. It's one thing after another, but it's got a vague structure, but it's not like
that's why
there are pivotal scenes or...
yes, that's why I thought it's better to look at it as an overview rather than trying to work it through beat by beat, because there's so much stuff that goes backwards and forwards through time and things like this that it would have been a nightmare. We'd have been here all night just talking about, even like 2 or 3 scenes each. You take it as an overview of how what plays out around this basic theme.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's basically
cool.
the
I like that version, yeah.
Nice. First things first. Still haven't broken it.
Not yet.
I think both of us, or all of us, before you decided to impose yourself onto our framework. Look at me.
Sorry, what?
You just didn't blink at all. It's really funny. So, yeah, when we talked about it before, I think this is one of those ones. Occasionally, we get films that are like, "How the fuck are we going to make this work?"
Oh yeah.
And these two in particular. But no, that covers it.
Pretty much, yeah.
So please, as always, do come back and join us in a couple of dates when we will be looking at the third and final act of Withnail and Loathing in Las Vegas, and after which we will have the unenviable task of deciding which one wins. This is going to be interesting. We've got 3 votes now.
Yes, it's not. It's 3-way vote.
Yeah. To see which one is going to be our maybe movie for
August. August. It is August.
How do I know? We don't get months in here.
No, I don't see a calendar here.
I don't know. I just made up my own calendar a while back and stick to it.
I've been counting the days by just scratching the back of my leg.
That's not. I thought you were going to say it. I'm so glad it wasn't. So glad that's not what he was talking about. Bye. As always, guys, TCFA.
Ba 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 ba.